What caused the underworld of the capital planet of Coruscant to literally become a nightmarish hellscape? Greetings, acolytes, and welcome back to the archives. Coruscant, the capital of the Grand Republic and the beacon of metropolitan advancement for the entire galaxy. We have known this planet to lie at the very epicenter of the hyperlane convergence, making it the perfect hub for the Republic itself. It is where the Senate convenes and the Jedi Temple rests. It's the kind of place where every being in the galaxy dreams of making it big. It is a planet of dreams, corruption, and nightmares. Even the most fabulous of the elite still have difficulty buying in and renting out places that they want to go on Coruscant. It is a planet which is now entirely made up of a pure cityscape. But that's all on the surface. The surface world of Coruscant and what lies beneath are two diametrically opposed things. We got to see a little bit of what the mid-surface levels were like during the Clone Wars, a crime-ridden, unsavory place filled with all kinds of scum and villainy, all of which culminates down in the infamous level 1313. But what lies even further beneath? What is Coruscant like in the places where the sun never shines, the levels so deep that they have become buried and forgotten by the rest of the galaxy? Well, my friends, that is what we are going to explore in today's holocron, so make sure your blaster has a fresh power pack within it, because you're going to need it as we descend into the depths of Coruscant. Before we begin though, our scanners have detected something concerning. Many of the acolytes that have visited our archives have not yet subscribed to our channel, so if you've been enjoying the daily Star Wars lore, reach out and crush that subscribe button. It is your destiny. But now, back to the ugliness of the lower levels. The entire world of Coruscant is covered in city. From ancient times until now, the denizens of the capital would never tear down any structure to make them new. Instead, once the Coruscant city took up every inch of the planet's surface, the dwellers simply began building on top of it. This is why places in the city are referred to as levels, since each level and layer is just a new part of the city built upon the old. Those that were wealthy enough to ascend to or live in the upper parts of the city did so, and everyone else that was less fortunate were abandoned and left behind. This would continue for thousands of years, with Coruscant being in an ever-present state of construction. Billions of beings traveled to the capital world every year. And so, with the population increasing, so did the levels of the massive city. Each level is numbered by how many layers it is from the bottom, with the highest and most elite point of Coruscant currently being level 5127. And this is what makes the city planet a breathtaking entity much like the ocean, because as you descend deeper into Coruscant, it becomes darker and stranger with every passing level. It becomes more hostile, more bizarre. You've likely come across whispers and rumors of level 1313, which is supposedly the most dangerous level on Coruscant that one can reach by normal means. This place is known for its rampant crime and the fact that it's completely under control of the Black Sun Syndicate. 1313 is a lawless place where the police force and even the Coruscant Guard do not bother visiting, likely fearing for their own safety. Only Jedi, extremely notable bounty hunters, and members of the Black Sun can properly find their way through this level effectively, and even for them, it's dangerous. The most infamous part of this part of the city is the Black Market Trading Center, where one can buy illegal weapons such as a displacer gun and even old lightsabers, with the Jedi notably despising this practice. The Jedi Order has even made efforts to shut this down, but tackling all of level 1313 is too costly for the Jedi Order's time and resources, so the Jedi just track down leads where they can and shut them down as they go. However, the crime on this level has spiraled out of control, as the denizens have realized just how much the surface has forgotten about them and left them behind to rot. They have formed their own government under the Black Sun, and every being does what is right in their own eyes for the fate of survival. The reason this has happened is because many beings come to Coruscant seeking the dream life, luxury, wealth, greed. But then, once they find out just how expensive the surface is, they are forced into the underlevels. There, they eventually get buried under more and more city, resulting in them going to crime in order to stay alive. But this is only level 1313. What happens when you decide to take that one dilapidated elevator that goes even lower? What is the absolute hell that awaits you in the bottom 1000 levels? What is at the very bottom of the corrupted greed, wealth, gluttony? Where does it all end? Or rather, where does it all begin? The capital of Coruscant grew so large that the bottommost levels were literally closed off from the surface, and the denizens that were trapped in the darkness are left there to rot eternally. This is the true Coruscant Underworld, a place that never saw the light of day. The bottom 1000 were all in what was basically a big canyon filled with garbage and debris. Due to the canyon's enclosure by the larger buildings, the air was trapped and created a microclimate at least 3 layers deep. The trapped moisture caused rainstorms and convective wind patterns within the canyon floor, making the underworld like its own small planet. And it might as well be a completely different planet anyway, as it housed a larger population than many star systems did. Billions upon billions of beings were beyond the protection of the world's security force, leaving them at the mercy of gangs, thugs, exploiters, and of course, man-eating vermin, which we'll explore further in just a moment. The underworld was extremely dark, lit only by artificial light either from technology or natural fungi. It was loud, the air being filled with the banging and clanging of machinery, giving power to the more well-to-do surface dwellers. One might say the unique thing about the bottom 1000 is that maybe some are in touch with the natural surface of Coruscant as it once was. Unfortunately though, that is not the case. Not much is known about level 1, or any of the levels near it even, but they are considered utterly uninhabitable. They are covered by a thick layer of garbage, thousands of years of it dumped from the surface. But this isn't household trash. It functions as the Republic's waste bin. During the era of the Empire, one could find entire Venator-class Star Destroyers lying nose down in trash heaps, laying there in the underworld. Along with this, every living thing was constantly exposed to the pollution, sewage, and even reactor radiation. Needless to say, disease ran rampant, and the poor people who had to live in this place only wished that they could be on level 1313, because at least up there, they wouldn't have to deal with the creatures. The biggest problem with the underlevels was not the crime, or even having to scavenge for food. It was the disgusting and horrific mutants which dwelt in the darkness, all of them just as hungry as the unfortunate residents. Such monsters were termed as the corridor ghouls, mutated canine-like creatures with pale skin and appeared to hunt in packs. And then you had the hive rats, which were giant man-eating rodents that could grow up to 9 feet long, with bodies covered in tumors and sores. The only thing pleasant about the hive rats to the underdwellers was the fact that they preyed upon the duracrete slugs. These were parasite mollusks that dug their tunnels into the building foundations, feeding off of the duracrete within. This was then excreted from their skin, forming armor. They could grow up to 32 feet long, and if not kept in check, they caused all kinds of structural damage to the already unstable buildings in the underworld. But probably one of the most disturbing predators of this world would be the Kuthons. In appearance, the Kuthons resembled decaying corpses, with loose flaps of flesh, stringy, dirty hair, and lipless mouths filled with sharp teeth. Skin grew to cover the eyes, and there was an egg-like organ where the eye should have been, moving restlessly, sealed within its sockets. These creatures craved flesh as their main diet, and unlike many things in the underworld, we actually do know where these awful beings came from, but it doesn't give us comfort. Their ancestors were humans who were banished from the surface for their crimes, subsequently residing in the darkness of the Undercity for thousands of years. This genetically changed them into these horrific creatures that became the subject of countless horror stories and nightmares. But these stories were real. But there's even more than this, believed to be extinct. There were a species of monsters known as the Teozin, which resided in the very lower levels. The Teozin was a gigantic centipede-like creature capable of spitting red webbing to entrap its prey. They could grow up to 64 feet long, roughly 20 meters, and had a translucent shell which was capable of diffusing energy. This made them nearly completely impervious to blasters or even lightsaber blades. To top it all off, the Teozin were force sensitive and capable of cloaking themselves in the force so that they could not be sensed. Darth Maul would encounter one while in the underlevels of Coruscant, and he described attempting to sense it as almost like encountering a surface, one so slick that one could not find a grip to hold onto. But now, we have one final creature in the lower levels that we want to talk about. A monster whose name has yet to be revealed, and who we aren't sure of just yet. The monster appears in exactly 2 panels of the Star Wars 2020 comic run. Here, when Lando, Chewbacca, and Nia Nub were in the Falcon and on the run from the TIE fighters after pulling a rebel attack on Coruscant, the Empire chases them down into the underlevels of the city, where the Falcon just barely escaped being swallowed whole, one easily the size of an exogorth. It had giant tentacles, and teeth the length of the Falcon itself. Its hide was thick, and it didn't even flinch when a TIE fighter crashed right into the side of its mouth. It feels insane that a monster easily the size of 2 Star Destroyers actually lives beneath the city of Coruscant, proving the underlevels of the city are truly a nightmare realm. So my friends, this is the reality of what the Gleaming City and the Jedi Temple sits on top of. With this knowledge, would you still want to live or venture to Coruscant? Would you feel safe even being in the Jedi Temple? In the comments below, let us know what you found most shocking about the Underworld, and if you enjoyed this video and the research, it would help us out if you could leave a like. As always my friends, thank you so much for visiting the archives today, and may the Force be with you always.